Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's ordinary council meeting of the 20th of February 2024. I'd like to start reading the councillor meeting information. Members of the public gallery should note that the council records and publishes council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. The Acknowledgement of Country. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai Nation. We pay our deep respects to their elders past, present and future, and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. We'll move on to apologies, and we have Councillor Bai and Councillor Crosley. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest? No, there are none. We'll move on to confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. 3.1, adoption of minutes of the previous council meeting. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 6th of February 2024.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rossetti. Is there anyone opposing that? No, it's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, business arising from previous meetings. There is none. Number 5, acceptance of late and urgent items. There is nothing. Number 6, notices of motion. There is nothing. And this brings us to number 7, receiving of petitions or joint letters. 7.1, outstanding petitions. There are currently 2. Kirbane's feedlots, where that is currently under a matter seeking further investigation from various state government departments. And the 7th Avenue item that is currently laying on the table. And we shall move on to item 8, invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I wish to do an acknowledgement of the Victorian Natural Disaster event on Tuesday, February 13. On Tuesday, February 13, Victoria experienced 2 natural events that resulted in the loss of homes, power, telecommunications and unfortunately the loss of a farmer. The events on February 13 were catastrophic. On the one hand, we had fires in the Grampians and heavy rain and wind that swept through large parts of Victoria, resulting in damage to homes and loss of power to over 550,000 homes. I personally felt the brunt of the rain event when on the Monash to Melbourne, where I couldn't see a car in front of me and was down to less than 5 kilometres, all in the space of less than 1 hour. We saw on TV the destruction and force the rain event had on transmission lines in Geelong that were smashed like matches and triggered a mini shutdown of the Loy Yang power station. With Wellington designated as a renewable hub for offshore wind turbines, I asked of Vic Grid, being the final decision maker on how power will be transmitted from sea to land and beyond, that they look at the latest technology around the world and approve a transmission system that will not incur any failure to the community due to natural events, that the community's future is assured of continuity of power. This should be a given, as new infrastructure will need to be built and leave a strong legacy for generations to come. To the community of the Grampians who lost houses, fences, livestock and much more, our thoughts are with you and hope that you will be back on your feet very soon. To the family, friends and neighbours of farmer Bruce McInvett from Merboo, who lost his life to the storms, we pay our deepest respect. Victoria has experienced many natural disaster events since the 2019 bushfires and floods, and we may or will see such events on a yearly basis, so the old saying of 100-year will be the norm. Both the federal and state governments should learn from each event and look to implement infrastructure to community proofing now and well into the future. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie, and may I also send our thoughts out there to those families, residents and workplaces that still don't have any power, and hopefully that will be connected very soon. But a very special thank you to all of the community members and the volunteers that we certainly know worked very hard trying to service and help those that were in need over the last week. And I think we should all be very proud of the communities in which we live. So a big cheerio to them. So moving on to item 9, questions on notice. There are none. Item 10, Mayor and Councillors Report, 10.1. Do I have someone to move that?
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yep.
I'd like to move that the Mayor and Councillor report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wood? Does anyone oppose this motion? The motion's carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Over the period for the December 2023, 13 events were attended by various councillors. We had the 2023 Community Achievement Awards in Melbourne. We had Councillor Mackenzie representing the Shire. We had also meeting with Minister for Energy and Resources, the Honourable Lily D'Ambrosio, Mayor Bai. We had a Business Boost reference group meeting online represented by Councillor Ma. And we had the 26th annual Keith Hamilton Sale and District Toy Run in Sale. That was represented by the Mayor, Bai, and myself, Councillor Ripper. Locksport Public Hall, 30th celebration, Locksport, Councillor Stevens and Councillor Mackenzie. We also had the Sale Golf Club Sporting Legends Pro-Am. We had a couple of our councillors who had a hit of golf and represented the council was Councillor Tatterson, Councillor Mackenzie. And we also had a road network discussion with the Honourable Melissa Horn, Minister for Roads and Road Safety. Councillor Tatterson represented. Wellington Shire Service Network meeting, Councillor Wood. Municipal Emergency Management meeting, Councillor Crosley and Councillor Wood. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Moving on to item 11, Delegates Report. Do I have anyone who would like to speak? Thank you, Councillor Tatterson.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Last week I attended the SEATS meeting in Bega, which SEATS is a group of councils up the east coast of Australia between Sydney and back down to Melbourne. It's a really positive meeting. We had some presentations from the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator and a really good presentation from Bobbins Transport, who transport Bega cheese both to Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide. So they spoke at length around just road conditions and some of the barriers with bridges and things that stop them carrying and using high productivity vehicles to reduce the number of trucks on the road by using either A doubles or B doubles. So it was a really good conference, and again it was raised the Sale alternate truck route and the Traralgon bypass, and while we're not getting a lot of movement on the Traralgon bypass, it's certainly every opportunity we should be pushing forward because it's certainly a real inhibitor to transport and the needs of getting product out of our area of the state that we're feeding the rest of the nation and getting it to Melbourne or to Sydney. So a really good day and a half hosted by the Bega City Council, who were really good hosts.
Thank you, Councillor Tadderson. Sounds great, and it's certainly an important committee to be on. We're moving on to 12.1, Chief Executive Officer Report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the Chief Executive Officer's report be received.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Stevens. Does anyone oppose this? The motion's carried. Councillor Rossetti.
I see the CEO has been quite active, but it's also the breadth of what's been going on is shown in the report there, including the round table discussions in Hayfield, given the impact on timber industry of the recent decisions of state government. It's terrific they're in there, and I see it written up well in the Gippsland Times this week as well there. But also other elements like the regional plan, a lot of work being done on that, and the regional plan, as an example, is one of the plans that allows multiple councils to advocate for things like the bypass of Tarralgon, because together, through those sorts of plans, we have a much louder voice than as individuals. So it's great to see also the CEO and I know our Mayor as chair of that group of being involved in that plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Moving on to item 13.1, Assembly of Councillors report. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I wish to move the Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period 29th of January 2024 to 11th of February 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder to this? Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Does anyone oppose this? No, the motion's carried. Councillor
Nothing more, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 13.2, update to S6 Instrument of Delegation, members of Council staff. Do I have a mover?
Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor, I move that Council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by the legislation referred to in the attached instrument of delegation, resolve that 1, there be delegated to the members of the Council staff holding, acting in or performing the duties of the offices or positions referred to in the attached instrument of S6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument as attached, and take sections 2, 3 and 4 as read.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Do I have a seconder? Oh, Councillor Wood is the seconder to that. Does anyone oppose the motion? No, the item's carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The instrument of delegation is regularly changed as different legislations change and other elements come through from state government and indeed our legal advice. There's not much to talk about here.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 14.1, monthly planning decisions for November and December of 2023. Do I have a mover? Councillor Tadderson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that Council note the report of recent planning permit trends and planning application determinations between 1 November and 31 December 2023.
Thank you. And I have Councillor Rossetti to second. Is anyone opposing this motion? No, it's carried. Thank you, Councillor Tadderson.
Thanks. Again, just the report's relatively self-explanatory, but again, 41 permits have been issued by our staff, which obviously leads to 41 fairly significant developments across the whole of the Shire. So it's great to see our team getting planning permits out and continuing to see development across the whole of our Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Tadderson. Moving on to item 15, further gallery and online comments.
Nothing online, Deputy Mayor.
There's nothing online. And moving into item 16, enclosed session that is not required. So I am figuring the meeting. Well, yeah, there's no gallery, so the meeting is closed. So it is closed at 5:14 p.m. Thank you, everyone.